Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. I'm Vanessa and today I'm so excited. I've got such an amazing guest. I'm excited for you to meet her as well. This is Natasha Moore. Hi Natasha, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for taking part. I'm super excited to have our chat. You've been such an amazing friend and such an inspiration for so many years. So I think this is going to be
Thank
fantastic.
you.
But first
Thank you.
up,
Yeah.
first up, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I'm sure there are lots of people dying to know who you are.
Yes. Okay. Your cat's really cute, by the way. um, my name is Natasha Moore, and I'm CEO and founder of Natasha Moor Cosmetics. And the brand that I actually started, that I launched, is basically it derived from my experiences as a makeup artist, but also as a philanthropist. So every time I would do someone's makeup, they would sit in my makeup chair without any makeup on, with all the lights all over them, and they just kind of look in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, I'm so beautiful," after their makeup was done. And it would be a complete transition from when they would first sit on my chair and be like, "Oh, I have imperfections, I have this." It would be a lot of complaining and whining. And as soon as they sat there and I saw that I was able to do something a little bit more than just make them feel beautiful, but make them feel confident, that for me was a total game changer. Because I grew up extremely insecure. I was bullied in high school. I had the worst self-esteem. So whenever I'd see that, I would think, "Oh my God, how are they saying this out loud?" How are they literally looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, "I am beautiful"? I did not understand this theory. And I was going through a little bit of a little bit of trouble in my personal life. So I kind of decided I wanted to make women who really needed this confidence boost feel better. This was like a pure selfish reason. I wanted to do charity, but it was for me to feel good.
Mm.
So I went in with the intention to make women feel good, but to technically make me feel good. So I went and I visited women's shelters, drug and rehab facilities, homeless shelters. And by the way, these women's shelters, I went to Compton in LA. And and I don't know if you know how that
Well,
is or
the
how dodgy that is.
reputation, yeah, the reputation definitely precedes the area, I think.
Yeah, my Uber driver was like, "Matt, I cannot let you get out of this Uber. Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going." And I was telling him the story, how I was going to go do these women's makeup. And these women had been victims of human trafficking. So they'd been in the worst. I went to San Diego as well. And they'd been in the worst possible situations that you could think of. They'd been, these pimps and the drug cartels were still after them. So they were still in hiding. They were taken care of by these really old, elderly women, like 60, 70-year-old women who are obviously not strong enough to fight off pimps, but they would, because that was them doing good and that was them doing more. And so for me, I just got inspired by them. And again, saw the same reaction when I did their makeup. First of all, you can't speak to these women because you don't know what would bring up any trauma or instigate them in any way. So it was literally like a silent thing. They sat on the chair and I did their makeup. And at this time I had my own cosmetic brand already, like formulating. So I kind of just had samples with me and a couple of products. And as soon as I did their makeup, and they would ask me, what's that lipstick? The first thing I ever launched, by the way, was lipsticks.
Mm.
And I'll get into that a little bit later. But as soon as I did, they would react with the same thing, like, "Oh my God, I look so beautiful." And they started taking selfies. And I thought, wow, this is a world of a difference. And I'm onto something so much bigger than what I even could dream of. And
Mm.
this was kind of market research for me as well, because it was like, I want to create a brand to make women feel beautiful, to make them feel powerful, because I never felt that. So again, it was kind of stemming from my own insecurities that made me want to push this brand a lot further. And that's how I actually got inspired to name the lip shades the way they are. They're all named after empowering shade names, which you didn't really see at the time in the market. It was all sexy girl, beautiful woman, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to name any
Hypersexualized as
names
well.
that and
Yeah.
offend, like, yeah, very, very much like deep throat. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, so I wanted it to be something that was empowering. So the shade names are all like game changer, CEO, hustler. And then they kind of just work of as they kind of work as affirmations. So when
Mm.
you put it on, you kind of feel that power suddenly come through. Like today, I'm actually wearing a brand new shade
Ooh.
that we're launching next year, and it's called Respect.
I love that. That's amazing.
Thank
You're
you.
such an amazing woman, and you're only 30 as well. You turned 30 this year, so happy 30th,
Yes.
belated
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, you do so many amazing things, and you've had such incredible stories to tell. But if we rewind a little bit, so how did
Mhm.
you first get your start in the makeup world? How did you first start in the makeup industry?
So I guess I started off doing fashion PR. I always loved doing makeup. So since I was in primary three, I would do my teacher's makeup. I was always that girl that kind of played around with makeup a lot and hair. But I started off my career as soon as I graduated university in PR. I studied fashion PR as well. So every time I would go to events, people would say, "I love your makeup,"
Mm.
and socialites started to, ask me if I would do their makeup for events, and I did, and I, side hustled or realized that this was something I really loved doing. And at the time, the company that I was working with kind of made me, I was head of PR and marketing, but I was kind of involved in so many different aspects. Like there was script writing, and it was a smaller company, and I'm a very hands-on person. So it was a lot of things that I kind of had to take control of. And
Mm.
one of the things was makeup for the models, right? Because they didn't have a huge budget for certain things. And I thought, okay. And I remember this one moment where I had to create a bruise for a product that we were promoting.
Oh wow.
And I thought, oh my God, I YouTubed the whole thing the night before. And I just did it the next day. And I thought, this is so much fun. I love it. I
Mm.
want to turn this into a career. This is like incredible. And it wasn't at that point about, I mean, all the models would be like, wow, I feel so beautiful. But it was more like, this is an art that I kind of didn't see myself doing, but I think I could totally do.
Mm.
And I think at the time I thought magazines, films, this was the direction I wanted to go in. So I told my parents this, and they were like, you're going to quit this incredible head of PR and marketing job straight out of uni to get no salary. But you know what? If it's your passion, go for it. And my dad actually said to me, if it's your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. And if you love what you do, it's going to make you so happy. And I
Mm.
remember my biggest concern was I want to be a billionaire. I want to earn so much money that I'm able to take care of so many people around the world. Like that was my ultimate goal. I want to have these orphanages that I just have a lot of things in my mind, which does require money. And I said, how the hell am I going to make money by being a makeup artist, like painting people's faces? And he was like, you know what? If you love it and you're passionate enough, you'll be fine. And I
Wow.
remember there was a lot of people that looked down as, even in my culture, being a makeup artist at the time, this was like 7 years ago,
Mm.
was like, oh, you're touching people's faces. And in our community, it wasn't really looked upon as something that was glamorous. It was more like, oh, you're doing a service job. So
Mm.
my parents were like, you know what, screw that. You want to do it? Do it. And as soon as I did, I loved it. And I went to New York. I did a short course. I came back, started doing magazines, films, but then I went kind of, I think when makeup artists start, they don't go straight into bridal,
Mm.
um, whereas I did, and that was a great way to start with money, with earning money, right? Because that's one of the best paying jobs in terms of makeup artistry, unless you're doing films and Hollywood and Bollywood and all that. But also the timing and the respect and everything. There's more when you have your own sort of persona as a
Mm.
makeup artist for brides. And when I did that, I realized how much confidence I was able to give women at a time where you really need it the most, right?
Yeah.
Every girl dreams of their wedding. Every girl wants to look their best at their wedding. And you know that it's different to when I do an actress or a model. They're all appreciative, they're all wonderful. But the feeling that you get by being with a bride on her wedding day,
Mm.
that for me is the best feeling because I know every little step that she's going through. And I know how to just make her feel powerful and beautiful and confident
That's
because everyone's looking
amazing.
at her.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And you are definitely one of the most sought after makeup artists. Certainly for in your community, for Indian weddings as well. I know that you are probably the most sought after makeup artist around the world. So how do you tend to work with your bridal clients? You just kind of, I guess you highlighted a little bit of why you love it so much. I mean, do they usually come to you with a look in their mind, or do they leave it completely up to you? How do you work with your bridal clients?
So when I first started, I think I came into the market, and I think the reason why people ended up choosing me quite a lot is because when I first came in the market, no one was doing the natural Indian makeup look, which was skin that was clean, but eyes that were dramatic.
Yes.
And, you know, you still had the little glitz and glam, but not too much. I'm really an avid believer of less is more. Um, Unintended, but it is something that I think it's really important to keep to your natural self, whereas a lot of makeup artists kind of mask your beauty or turn you into a person that you aren't. And I've had clients ask me, oh, I want to look completely different, and I outright reject it, because for me that's not what makeup is about. It's really about enhancing your inner beauty and making you feel like the best version of yourself. So initially, when I would get called for stuff, people would say, I really like your style. It's so natural. There's no one else that does this. And I think it was through Instagram that I started getting clients calling me internationally. And then that's how it sort of built. And now I have people, initially it was, I have this look and I have this look. Of course, when you're starting out, people kind of have their suggestions. But now I have a signature style that people kind of contact me and say, I want you to do whatever you want to me and make me look incredible. And I want your looks. And that for me is the best sort of client, because they trust me, and trust is so important.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think the relationship, especially between a bride and a makeup artist, I mean, I think on the wedding day, obviously, there's so many things that a bride has to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's a stressful day. It's a really stressful day. I know this personally, planning my own wedding. I'm not
Yeah.
even near the wedding date. But yeah, I completely agree. And I think that makeup, and sitting in the chair, it's almost kind of a moment for the bride to, she can't do anything. She has to put her
Yeah.
trust in someone else. She has to let
Yeah.
go a little bit. She has to be present and just kind of enjoy the moment. So I think it's a really nice moment of serenity and peace,
Yeah. It
for
is.
the bride.
It should be. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. But what's interesting, and I would love to hear your sort of experiences, any stories you have to tell, but
Hmm.
Indian weddings are an event. I think
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know that, can you tell us a little bit about sort of how Indian weddings usually go, and how involved it is? And especially, how do you, as the makeup artist, sort of what does that entail for you? How involved a process is it for you over the whole event?
Okay, so every wedding is obviously very different, but with Indian weddings, it's between 3 to 5 days, sometimes 2 days. It is really intense because it's like three looks a day. So if I just walk you through my schedule for the 3 days, so I
Yes.
land the night before, I prep, I come with like 60 kilos of stuff, including lighting. I do my own photos for the brides. I do like a whole portrait shoot for them. Um, if I walk you through the process, so I sort of wake up at 6 a.m., right, the next day. Even if she has two events in one day, generally her first one will start at noon,
Hmm.
and her second one will start at in the evening at 8.
Hmm.
So if it's at noon, I want to set up by like 9. So I wake up, go to the gym, get myself ready, set up, and I take actually 30 to 45 minutes to do makeup. But to style, to guide, to do everything, to guide the hairstylist, to put her looks together, her jewelry, her photos, it takes about 3 hours to get a bride ready, right, for each
Wow.
look. Yeah, so from 9 till about 12 or 1, until she leaves the room, I don't leave. I want to make sure she's 100% happy, content, and confident. So she leaves the room, and then I have my little break in between where I have lunch, and that's between like 1 to 4. And then again, I start again. And then recently, in the last 3 years, I've had a lot of brands send me products to wear to these events. A
Hmm.
lot of designers sending me stuff. So as soon as I enter, and the brides will obviously always want me to attend the event because I become like a friend to them. So it becomes work for me after, actually. It becomes like I have to do my own photo shoot, my own hair and makeup, and all that stuff happens as soon as the bride enters, which is generally at 10 p.m. because they're always late for a function. Because even if they're ready at like 8:30 or 9, they still have to wait till the ballroom is full.
Wait, so it starts at 10?
Indian weddings, some like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Wowzers.
we talked about the lunch event, and then it goes into like the evening event. Sometimes
Yeah.
8, sometimes 10. Generally 10. They
Wow.
walk in at 10 because they wait for all the guests to be seated
Yeah.
for the Sangeet to start, which is like this huge dance show, right?
Yeah.
Best way to put it, where all the family and friends perform dances. So at 10, she enters. So I don't get to start getting ready till 10 o'clock. I enter by 11:30, 12. I come back to my room at 3. I start again at 6:37. And this is 3 days in a row, right? And it's pretty intense. But I love it because it is the best feeling in the world to walk into a room and see your bride on stage, dancing and showing off her hair and her makeup and just feeling like insane, incredible. I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, definitely that sounds like a very intense job for you. But I guess
Yeah, it's really
I
fun.
guess like your dad said though, if you're doing something you love, it doesn't feel like work, which is the dream. In
Yeah.
terms of I don't know if you have any stories to share or if you can. Do you have any stories of some of the more elaborate weddings that you've been to, some of the craziest stuff that you've seen?
I mean, there's so many things. I think a lot of the weddings I've done Mexico, I've done Italy, I've done Thailand, Bali, like all these different countries. But in terms of in terms of like something crazy, you want to hear a funny story or like
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, whatever you
uh
got.
okay, not funny. How about this? I'll tell you some of the stuff that you don't see behind the scenes that I have to deal with.
Let's do
So
that.
I've had brides before they enter malfunction with wardrobe, malfunction with jewelry, and that's a big deal, right? Because everyone in the room is stressing out and they don't know what to do. And so there's been times where I'm like, it's okay, it's all good. I've done this so many times. I will sort you out. I've super glued the necklace onto her. Or I've done some crazy stuff. I'm like, I remember I had this one bride who was having a panic attack because her planner booked my flight to leave at like midnight or something like that. But I normally only leave the next day just in case the bride needs me for something. And she was like, no, I need you. I need you. She had a wardrobe malfunction. And it was like, she said, I don't want anyone in this room except Natasha. So I took a bottle of champagne, I put a straw in, I'm like, take this. Let me sort you out. And I'm like, it's fine. If I miss my flight, no worries. Inside, I'm obviously like, shit, I can't miss my flight. This was one of my first couple of jobs. So yeah, and then it was just really nice to know that the bride was so happy and couldn't live without me. I feel like that was like a moment for me to be like, oh, I feel so loved. I've had stories like that. I've had scary stories where I've had people waiting outside my room when I've just launched my cosmetic brand so that they can get their hands on lipsticks. Um,
Yeah,
I've
that's
also
not
had,
okay.
no, it's not okay, but that's sort of why I'm really open and I want to be public about doing this on your own is hard. When I first
Mm.
started my career, I had a bride's father that didn't want to pay me my balance. And this is when you first start. Like I was 24 years old in a new random country. This guy was so aggressive. He wouldn't pay me until I went to his room to get a drink with him. And this is one of the things that pushed me. This was before I launched my brand, that pushed me with the whole idea of women empowerment. It's just, I was scared. I'm a strong woman and I can shout at someone if I wanted to. I could kick someone if I wanted to. But I was so scared at that moment that I thought, imagine these women in villages or women who have been victims of human trafficking. Like, imagine their fear inside. And that's another thing that just like, I feel like all my experiences sort of shaped me
Mm.
and made me really want to do the things that I do now. And like, that's my purpose.
Yeah, that's, I mean, kudos to you for turning something negative into something positive.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, that must be really tough because, like you said, you started your sort of career and trajectories quite young. I guess you were,
Yeah.
in your early 20s. And like you said, you're going to all these different countries, you're going to all these different places, you're a one woman show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be a really scary experience to be put in and definitely not something pleasant, especially when you're there to work.
But you know what? I learned from those experiences. I didn't have a contract before where
Mm,
you pay 50%. I didn't have all these things. Now, when someone looks at my contract, they're like, who does she think she is? Like, what is this? But I have my reasons. I
mm.
have a reason why I can't go in a car with the rest of the crew because I've had some scary stuff happen to me. It has to be in a way where I'm kind of protecting myself. And I think that's a message that I really want to put out there to women entrepreneurs, people who are starting out. It is a scary world.
Yeah, I think
And
it's definitely something that is seems to be a trend that a lot of women and certainly female business owners go through. It's kind of when you're first starting out. Obviously, you want money, you need cash, you need
Of
clients,
course.
you need to be able to work, and you're trying to build a business. So
Exactly.
so many people will bend over backwards. They say yes to too many things, and they just say yes, they say yes, they say yes, and then you try to put in boundaries after the fact, and it's 10 times more difficult because you've already
Yeah.
established yourself in a certain way. But yeah, definitely super important to ensure that you have those boundaries that make you feel comfortable and that you can work with as well.
Yeah.
In terms, did you have to kind of learn that as you went along, or were those things, did you have maybe a mentor or, you know, family members that kind of said like, hey, listen, I think you should do this, or, you know, you should definitely, yeah, set up a contract in advance or do your deposit beforehand? How did you kind of adapt?
I think I definitely had mentors. I definitely had women that were inspiring that helped me in different ways. So I have one who is actually, she's actually a Bollywood actress, Lisa Ray. She's written a book. She's been through a lot in her life. She's been more of like a spiritual slash businesswoman guide. So whenever I would do her makeup for shoots, we did a film together. She would always guide me and be like, this is your path. And you know, and I think just having that faith in me was really nice. But in terms of the contract and all those things, I really had to do that on my own.
Mm,
And it was nice to know that, you know what, I have the balls to do this and I will do this. I will put myself out there. And I think it was a lot of believing in myself, but having those people around me that believed in me. I have a spiritual healer who's guided me through my ups and downs. This year has been a roller coaster for me. So I've had the right sort of people for sure. Um, but I think it's very important to, the key is really to believe in yourself. So if
mm.
you think that you should really do something, go with your gut
Yeah,
and don't
absolutely.
doubt yourself.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
really good advice, and definitely one that people can take in personal and professional life as well. But staying on the theme of makeup, because
Yeah.
you obviously expanded beyond bridal makeup, and you expanded beyond
Yeah.
being a makeup artist, and you launched Natasha Moore Cosmetics. So
Yes.
can you tell me a little bit about when you decided to launch, what the whole process was? Was there like a spark moment that happened and said, yes, I need to launch my own cosmetics? What was that process like for you?
So this is really nice because it's bringing me back down memory lane. I don't know why I can't talk today. It's bringing me back down memory lane. Um, like I mentioned earlier, I've always kind of been a little bit of a hustler. I've always wanted to earn a lot of money. That was my intent and my goal at the time and my purpose in my head. I was like, I want to earn so much money for whatever reason it may be. Maybe because I want to, you know, have a beautiful life for my family, or but I know what my real intent was is because I want to have schools in places that will help women in, you know, poorer countries that don't have access to the education that we do. But that's like my 10-year goal. Let's not get into that now. That was kind of where I started. My drive came from earning money, right? And I'll be really frank about that. So I said, how am I just going to be a makeup artist and that's it? That's not enough. That's not enough for someone who has so much ambition and passion. And every time I do makeup classes, because that was something I would do, my clients would say, oh, whatever you used on me, can you go to the stores and buy it for me? Then I remember adding that to my little makeup artist contract as a personal makeup artist shopper. So I would add an extra fee there. Then I was like, what am I doing? These brushes are so ridiculously expensive. I'm going to create my own line. So that's when I started my first ever brand called Face Tools. Right. The product was amazing. It was a set of brushes. At the time, there were no set of brushes that kind of taught you how to use them. And it wasn't from a makeup artist. So at the time when I launched it, it was great. It was a set of 13 brushes. It was luxury brushes. I don't know. Were you there at the launch?
I
I
was.
feel
I
like you
remember
were.
when you launched that. Yeah, it was amazing. It was such a
Yeah.
great event, and the brushes were beautiful. They were so
Thank
smooth
you.
and silky, and just the beautiful fibers. Yeah, I remember. I loved them. I loved those brushes.
Thank you. And it came in a beautiful cylindrical
Leather, wasn't
leather
it?
case. Yeah.
Yes.
But as soon as I did, I realized this was my first business idea, right? And I launched it. It was great. People loved it. The problem was 2 years later, people still had the same product because they loved it so much.
Mm.
So it's a great product, but it's a horrible business to have because it's not repeat customers, right? They're not going to buy a set every year, right? And it was such a good product that it was not good for a business, if
You
that
made
makes
it too
sense.
good. Yeah, you made the
Yeah.
quality way too good. It lasts for too long.
Exactly. And till now, people still use it and they're like, I still have that product. So when I was running out of stock, I said, do I really want to reorder or do I want to change this up? I want to rebrand myself. I've tapped into the sourcing, the factory, the da, da, da. So for 2 years, I actually, while I was with Face Tools, I started formulating products. I wanted to launch lipsticks. I knew that it was impossible to find the right sort of lip shades for my clients. So I would always mix the right colors and then I would keep it in a small container and give it to them because they'd love it so much. I couldn't find something that was matte, that was long lasting. You know, like I mentioned, these brides, they're partying from like 10 p.m., right? There's the second event, 10 p.m. all the way till 6 a.m. Right? They need their lipstick to be on their lips. They're taking photos with people. They're kissing people. They're hugging people. The last thing
Yeah.
they need is a low self-esteem kind of thing with their lipstick all over their face. So
Mm.
I used to mix my own products from this brand and that brand. And finally, I found a couple of factories that could deliver what I wanted. And I wanted matte lipsticks that were long lasting, but not super drying. That was super hard to find.
Yes.
I also, yeah, right. So, and I also wanted shade. I wanted to create the shade so that it matched my sort of skin tone, Asian skin tones, right?
Mm.
We have a variety of of colors in our skin
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted it to suit the Chinese tones, the Japanese tones. We all have little hues in our skin that are different. Indians especially find it very hard to find nudes. So I
Mm.
started making my own shades for that. And then that's really how my baby was born. And I decided instead of keeping the name Face Tools, I wanted to be recognized globally as Natasha Moore Cosmetics. Because I just felt like the story was very much about me and how I created the product. And again, with the empowering shade names, I just thought I want to empower women through what I do as well as what my products does.
Yeah,
And that's why I created it.
absolutely. I love that. And I think that that's such a great idea. It came out of a necessity, didn't it? It's a product that came out of a necessity that you were
Yeah.
practically using in your day to day professional life. And you were almost kind of answering a call both for yourself, but then it also suited all these consumers as well, which I think is just the perfect marrying up moment. In terms of, I'm really interested for the lip shades. Do you have certain shades that you found are more popular with certain different clients? Because you said obviously that you're working with different skin tones, and obviously, yeah, like Asian, there's like a little bit more sort of yellowness underneath the skin. Like definitely for me, that's my skin tone. And then
Yeah.
obviously Indian, I think is super amazing because India, from from friends and people that I know who are of that heritage, it is such a vast spectrum of skin tones and colors and sort of texture, like just all of it is just like, it's, you don't think it's just like one person who is the epitome of an Indian woman.
Yeah.
Like it's just so beautifully ranged. Do you find that there are certain shades that are more popular with certain skin tones of people?
Definitely. But the one thing I find very, very strange, and I don't know if it's because I manifested it. I believe in all of this. So I don't know if it's because I manifested it, but when I first launched the brand and I did a pop-up, there was two shades that got so popular. And it pretty much suits every skin tone. So it's two sort of pinks. It's CEO and it's Game Changer. This was
Mm-hmm.
when I first launched. Okay. And I remember we sold out of Game Changer in the first 15 minutes of that pop-up, that my hair got pulled because the lady was like, oh my God, I needed it. She kind of wanked my hair extensions out.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, wow, there is a demand for this product. And I will never forget. And it was chaos. I was doing everything on my own. And I had a few of my friends actually helping me with the pop-up that they had to go, shut up. It was so unprofessionally done, but it was so amazing when I look back and see the craze that women have when it comes to things that will make them feel good
Yeah.
and look good, of course.
Mm.
But CEO and Game Changer are two types of pinks. One is a lot lighter and one is darker. So on me, I would use CEO. On someone who had a darker skin tone, they would want that sort of a pink. They would use Game Changer.
Mm.
But Game Changer also suits me. So it's weird that some of the tones that I've created actually suit such a variety of skin tones
Amazing.
that, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, like I said, I probably manifested it. Of course, there's shades that don't suit me, like the really bright colors, but
Oh, I
that's just
think
me.
that the bright colors would definitely suit you. You've got like, you could pull off the jewel tones so beautifully. But you
You
do
think
tend to
so?
wear more like, yeah, definitely. But
I
you do
wear
tend to wear
nudes.
more nudes, yeah. Which is, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very much the same as well. But then I wear a
Yeah.
pop of color, and suddenly I'm like, oh, who is she? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But there are a lot of people that like the bright colors. There are a lot of people that like the nudes. It's based on your personality. Because I
mm,
can recommend stuff, and I do on my Instagram. I'm very open about people ask me what concealer shade I am, and I respond myself because I think it's very important to share that with people. And that's the goal, is I want to help you find your perfect match.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that is just so intrinsic to your brand as well. But if we circle back to lipsticks, obviously
Yeah.
very, very appropriate as this is the Lipstick
Yeah.
Gang podcast. I guess you've already kind of talked a little bit about why specifically lipsticks from a demand perspective. But did you find that did you find that lipsticks were kind of more transformational than any other part of the makeup look? Is that kind of also, did that play a role in launching with lipsticks?
So I actually never used to wear makeup myself. I mean, sorry, lipstick. I used to be
Mm,
an eyeliner girl in high
mm,
school and university as well. I wasn't much of a lipstick fan. And I have really thin lips. But when I wear lipstick, no. This is with makeup on. You can see it accentuates the lip shape so much
mm,
that I feel like it adds that touch of glamour all the time, or it just completes your look.
mm.
So I realized this with my brides. I wasn't even wearing a lot of lipstick, and then whenever I would do their makeup, they'd have their whole face done with their eyes, but as soon as that lipstick went on, it was like, damn, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a reason why. And also my grandma has never walked out of her house. She doesn't even go on Zoom calls or video calls without lipstick. Like, she's obsessed. So I just thought, if there are women who are in their 80s that, love lipstick so much, and then there's also teenagers, it's a great product to have for everyone.
It's super accessible. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely agree there. And I was exactly the same. I really didn't wear a lot of lipstick, certainly in my 20s. Well, yeah, in my teens and in
Yeah.
my 20s. Just lipstick for me, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like if I would wear it, especially if it was a bright shade, I would look like I'm trying too hard, or
Yeah.
I'm too dressed up or too glam.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe it was just about finding the right shade for me, but I was exactly the same. Like I was very much more like about the eyes and dramatic eyes,
Yeah.
yeah, eyeliner and accentuating the eyes. But yeah, now I love lipstick. So yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
agree. And in terms of naming them, these empowered quotes or affirmations, can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind that?
Well, that really came from visiting the women's shelters. I
Mm,
remember at the time I was thinking, how do I really brand this? How do I make this a way for women to, and this also came from my spiritual journey as well. I Here's an example. My packaging before was black and gold.
hmm
And through my journey and building the brand, as soon as Sephora was interested in the product, I got excited and I said, you know what? I want to rebrand the whole thing. I want to change my packaging to white because I have changed. And I feel like there's more about me that's a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more pure in a way. And I know that I've grown a lot, and I feel like I want that to come across a little bit better. And that's why the white came about. In terms of the branding, the shade names, same thing. It was my experiences through, going through a lot of things that I went through. I was in a relationship before. I got a divorce at such a young age. I was in the limelight and always being gossiped about. I had a point in my life where I was kind of cyberbullied as well, and people would just gossip about me. I felt like I had no one. And having these affirmations made me feel really good and made me feel really powerful. Like, I remember once I walked into an event and everyone was staring at me. And I knew that it wasn't because my outfit was nice and it wasn't because I looked good, but I wore fearless that day. I
Mm,
remember exactly what I wore. And I told myself, you can do this. You got this. It's fine. They can say whatever they want. They don't know the real you. And I think that really pushed me to want women to feel this power, because people would come up to me and ask me such personal questions like, what are you doing with your life? And in our community as well, it was a lot of like, oh, of course she's, had a relationship failure. She's traveling so much. And I would think, but if I was a man, no one would say this.
yeah.
Right. So I'd have this a lot. But then as time would go on, throughout the evening, these women would come to me and say, I'm so impressed and I wish I could do what you did. And it would make me realize that people are so scared to be pushing themselves out of the boundaries. Even talking about this now is like, how can I do this and be so public? But it's also because I feel like it's important for women to know that you really need to trust yourself and support each other. Like our lipstick gang is so freaking incredible, because no matter how much I don't speak to you or you don't speak to me, we all have this trust and unity and understanding of community, and it's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much to be said about obviously the family that you're born into, but then the family that you create for yourself. And yeah,
Yes.
and I think true friendship and people who really do truly care about you, regardless of whatever other crap's going on in your life, they don't judge.
Yeah,
There's no judgment there. There's only love. There's only
exactly.
support. And it's also not invasive. It's also kind of like, listen, if you need that time to kind of be you and be yourself and sort your own stuff out, that is absolutely fine. But I'm here on the sidelines for whenever it is that you need, like, or whatever it
Yeah.
is that you need. And I think
Yeah.
that's super important. In terms of like
Yeah.
practicing affirmations, you said you have a spiritual healer. So do you do like daily
Yes.
affirmations and that sort of stuff?
I've recently started, I listen to it every night before going to sleep. And it's like a long YouTube clip of just saying positive things to yourself. And I wake up feeling really confident. And I've been sharing this with a lot of my friends. I'll share it with you too. It really does make a difference, because I'm someone who looks in the mirror and constantly hates on myself. Always. I'll always be like, oh my God, you're so fat. Oh my God, your skin is horrible. Oh my, and I'm constantly shaming myself. And my healer actually said this not long ago, 2 weeks ago. She said, this is a whole topic in its own, self-love. She was like, would you say this to your best friend? Would you tell your best friend that she was ugly or that she was fat? And I said, no, I would never do this. And, I actually had COVID and I was in the hospital, as you know, for 34 days. And one of the reasons why I wasn't out when I did my healing with her, she was amazing. She kind of coached me through the whole thing, is that I kept shaming my body throughout my life and hating on it, that I had to go to the bathroom and apologize to every part of my body and say, I'm sorry. And that was such an emotional thing for me. I mean, I don't know if you believe in any of this, but the next day I came negative. My test results were negative. And
Wow.
it just made me think, like, was that really all it took? Like, I was in the hospital for 34 days and all I had to do was tell myself I love myself. It's the way you also think about it, but it kind of plays a role, right? If I'm constantly
Mm,
looking at my stomach and being like, ew, or if I'm looking at my face and being like, ew, I'm also sending the wrong message to
yeah.
myself.
Mindset plays such a huge role. And whilst I think I definitely have a balance of, mind, heart, like logic, all that kind of stuff. I definitely have that kind of spiritual element, I think, within me that ultimately, and I think, you know what, I think it's more about positivity and being present. And I think it's more about that, because the more you are in tune with that and the more in tune you are with
Yeah.
yourself, the more you feel like you can, I don't know, I think the more motivation it gives me, and then the more
Yeah.
energy it gives me to give to others as well. I definitely agree with you that there's so much to be said for mindset and the role that it can play with physical wellness and physical
Yeah,
well-being as well. um,
definitely.
but yeah, I completely, yes, of course, you had COVID at the beginning of the year. How have you been feeling? I mean, hopefully you've recovered.
I'm like better than before. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
um, yeah, definitely. It was an experience, because I think that when I got it, I actually got it flying back from London. When I got it, it was at a time where no one really knew what was going on.
Mm,
So I went public about it on my Instagram to let people know that this is real and you need to stay indoors. And obviously, I was very heavily medicated because I was kind of like a guinea pig. Like, they injected my stomach. I was on a shitload of medication. It was pretty intense.
wow.
But it was more of a mental game for me, because I was in isolation for 34 days. I came out of that. I had PTSD. I was, I had so much, I was depressed for a
Yeah.
while. I was depressed. So I've had a really rough year, but I tried to think about it in a way where it's all, again, shaped me, because it was a year of awakening. I was able to learn so much about myself. I don't think I've ever been so alone in my life, but yet not known me and not understood me. And it's only been the last month that I'm really working on, I got COVID in March. I was depressed for like 3 or 4 months after that. And then And then it was as soon as I got out of the hospital, it was my 30th birthday. So there was a lot. And I've been in a long distance relationship with my boyfriend who I miss so much. So it's been really, really rough. And then, 2.5 months ago, I had a surgery for a hernia because I was lifting heavy boxes. So it's like all these things just kind of threw stuff at me.
Wow.
But if I look at the positive, I launched in Macy's, I launched in Sephora, I launched on Amazon, and now we're doing global launches. So I just need to keep focusing on that. While I was in the hospital, I was focusing on my Macy's launch. While I was, if I wasn't put in one place, I'd be traveling all around the world doing brides, and I wouldn't have focused on my brand the way I have been able to this year. So that's been really great. And we're really expanding now. So touch wood, that's where I know what my purpose is. And I see people use my product and give me that. It makes me so grateful to know that they actually see those affirmations and they feel it when they wear it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you know what I started doing this year was gratitude journals. So I've got one as well. And like, it's again kind of very similar, like beginning of the day, end of the day, a couple of bullet points. And it really does put into perspective. And I remember, yeah, having like, and you know what, like not on the same scale at all of you. You've had a hell of a year.
Everyone has.
It's been a tough year for everyone. It's definitely been a challenging year with different people trying to overcome different challenges, and whether it's working from home or just being around your kids and your partner all the time, or people have lost their jobs, and it's been really stressful for everyone. And for me, the mood has definitely ebbed and flowed, and it's definitely been up and down. And I look back now at like my journal, and I kind of flick through and I'm like, God, yeah, that was a really bad day. Or God, my mood was so low that week. I had really low energy. But I look back and I made sure that when I was filling out my journal, even if it was like, had a great cup of coffee in the morning, gave me loads of energy, or Reese went out and bought a pastry and brought one home for me, or like, just the little things that were just to reflect on. I look back and I was like, oh God, yeah, that wasn't actually so bad. Like, even when you're feeling so low, if you can still find the positive, then that's what you should channel your energy into. And by the sounds of it, that's exactly what you've been doing this year as well, which is super exciting.
Not gonna lie, yes and no. I've had really low days, so I'm coming across as very positive right now, but I'm gonna be real. I've had low days. I'm not always like this, and it's just about pulling yourself out. And even it's like, oh my God, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. It's so hard.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of, you talked about this before. You regularly actually talk about the power of makeup as a transformational tool, and certainly during lockdown, I feel like even putting on a little bit of, a little bit more into my beauty routine, or, my skincare in the evening, or putting on that makeup in the morning before I get on my calls. It really did wonders for kind of my mood and my motivation. And you've actually been doing a lot more on on Instagram with tutorials and sharing your different looks. So can you tell me a little bit more about some of the, like, sort of, do you get people asking you, oh, can you recreate this look for me? Or can you tell us more about your skincare routine? Like, how does that work? How do you get inspired of what to share?
That's really hard, actually, but I do get a lot of people requesting things, but it's mostly about how do I use this product, or how do I use, because it's a lot of our Natasha Moore Cosmetics products. And just recently, I did a really cool video, or so I think, because for me, it's also, I didn't think that I could experiment the way that I am, because I'm quite, as a person, if I like something, I stick to it. So my routine is very less is more, right? So it's the same thing. So how do I keep coming up with creative ideas? I just came up with something the other day where I said, you know what, I'm going to try using my Molten Matte since it lasts so long. I'm going to use it on my eyelids as an eyeshadow. And I did such a cool smoky eye look on your blush, on your cheeks, and on your lips, and with the same color. And it looked so pretty that I inspired myself. I was like, yes, I can do this for every other look. And I think people just kind of request things that, a lot of the requests have been coming in for dark circles. Like, how do I conceal my dark circles? So I do that quite a bit. How do I apply my mascara correctly? But it's not so much I guess when I first started makeup, a lot of the YouTube stuff that were out was like, how do I transform myself into Drake, right? All those videos, right? With like a complete makeover. That's not what I do at all.
Yeah.
So I try. I don't think I'm very good at makeup tutorials, if I'm very honest. It's
But I
something I
think,
struggle with.
but you know what though? I actually think that you just fill a very different niche. And I think that, like you said, so many of the tutorials that you see out there and so many of the YouTube videos, they are people who are making amazing looks. And the final look is
Yeah.
really transformational, like literally transforms them into a different person. But when
Yeah.
I watch them, I always watch them and I just go, oh my God, there's another layer of something going on. Oh my God, there's another layer of something going on. Wait, you have to
Yeah.
now put so much powder on and leave it for 25 minutes. What? Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, for me, from a practical standpoint, it's just not very
Yeah.
practical. And
Yeah.
realistically, they're not looks that I'm going to recreate necessarily in full because it's just way too involved. It's not right for my, like for me, for my skin. I just hate wearing so much of, like, I don't like wearing loads of makeup. So I think that
Yeah.
you actually feel a very different niche. And like you said, it's very tied into how people can apply your brand specifically as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think you should definitely continue doing it. I love watching them. I think they're
Thank
very good.
you.
Your
Thank
bloopers
you.
one especially made me laugh
Um,
the other day.
oh, because it's real. Like I'm the clumsiest person, and some of the bloopers I have are hilarious. There's a lot of swear words in there, so I can't really pull. There's a lot of dropping stuff, or I accidentally put the wrong powder on my. Did you see that one?
I think
I'm
so.
gonna send that to you. I'm just such an idiot sometimes, but I think it's really important to make fun of yourself and laugh at yourself.
Definitely, you shouldn't take it, like nobody should take themselves so seriously. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're all just real. We're all just trying to make it work. We're all just winging it at this stage,
Yeah.
like, and there's nothing, you just got to be relatable to the people that follow you and the platform that you have. Being relatable is just so important, I
Yeah.
feel. Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you have any favorite looks? Like, I mean, I know that you have your kind of your signature, but
Yeah.
yeah, do you have any kind of favorite looks that you would
That I
regularly
do.
do? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. If I have a photo shoot, I do the same thing, and it probably irritates everyone on my team because I don't experiment with different lip colors. Like this is an experiment for me, but I actually really like this one. I think it's pretty. It goes in my top. But I normally do a really soft brown smoky. So it's very soft, and it doesn't necessarily look like a smoky eye, but to me it is. It's accentuating your eyes, and then a nude sort of lip and contoured
Mm,
face. That's my
mm,
go-to.
yeah.
That's
I love
definitely
that.
my go-to.
It definitely accentuates your natural beauty, which I think that, I mean, you obviously, but then anyone else's, it's an enhancement of kind of what's already there, which again is very,
Yeah.
very on brand for what it is that you do. In
Thank
terms
you.
of business successes, you mentioned just now that you have had, from a brand perspective, a very successful
Yeah.
year because you have launched in Macy's, in Sephora, and Amazon, which is huge. Congratulations, that's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Was that,
Thank
did
you.
you pop some champagne and take the time to celebrate those?
No, you know what's so interesting? I actually said this to someone recently is that when you're working on something for so long and there are delays and this and that, when it actually happens, you're like, okay, what's the next thing? Where are we launching next? And especially as an entrepreneur and someone who's constantly, again, giving myself crap, it's so important to take that moment to be like, no, you are doing well. Just soak it in, dude. Relax. You are doing fine. But yeah. So this is something I've been trying. I've been making a lot of effort to actually tell myself, you know what? Calm down. You're doing
Mm.
well. Focus and celebrate. So for the Macy's one, I did. For the Sephora one, I didn't. That was last year in December. And I didn't celebrate because it was such an awaited launch that I was like, finally, it's here. And I just had so much work. It didn't even hit me. People were like, you're in Sephora. And my dream, I couldn't even dream of being in Sephora. Honestly, I was like, no, no, no. Yeah, right. Like I would. So for me now, it's just kind of like, okay, I tell myself every now and again, like, Natasha, think about this for a second. Your
Yeah.
brand isn't,
It's
your
important to
brand is
celebrate
next to,
success.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to kind of tell yourself that. Um, yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Do you have any other moments that for you were really big moments like that, like a big launch or, a big goal that you hit? Do you have other moments like that?
Yeah, actually, this is something that really, really sticks to my heart a lot. In terms of business, brand launch, everything, yes, that's great. But something that really made me super happy was this might be a bit of a long story, but when I first met my boyfriend, our second date he was like, no, I want to meet you. I want to spend time with you in Bali. And I said, okay, but I'm going to be going to an orphanage in Bali. This was, at a time that I was completely single, not interested in men. And I said, my mom's going to be there. This is our second date. not even official date. He's like, yeah, I'll come with you. So I took him to this orphanage, and the kids all know me. They have posters of my inspirational quotes and messages all over the room. It's really cute. So they're all like, Natasha, Natasha. And they're reading these quotes to me. They wake up to read it. And so one of the kids dragged him up. They really liked him. And it was his first time ever doing anything like this. And you could see that his love for the children just sort of came out. And I was just so happy in that moment. And I saw how he looked at me like, oh my God, this woman is crazy. Her stuff is, here. And so then I'm not supposed to show my true colors. My mom was like, he's 6'3". He's a gigantic, muscly man. So he looks really good. My mom was like, oh wow, he looks really good. And as soon as she met him, she was like, is this a serious one, or is he like a little, player type? But she fell in love with him instantly. And so she was looking at me as a mom would and be like, don't show your true colors, in the sense that I started crying because I'm very emotional. It was raining and the kids didn't have slippers. Long story short, I started crying. I'm like, I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. I made a fuss. And I told them, I was like, I want to create slippers that are everywhere, all over the world, that can be given to children, underprivileged kids. And he looked at me, second date, and said, I'll do it with you. My dad does manufacturing. And I was like, okay. And my mom's like, yeah, you guys do it together. You guys, she was in the car like, yeah. And I remember that moment as one of my favorite moments in life, because I just looked at him and I thought, wow, this is my soulmate. And that's actually how our brand, our nonprofit, it's called Soulmate. It's SOLE. We actually made those slippers, and just in March, just before I got COVID, we actually gave those slippers out in India. That was my second favorite moment in life, because it was with him, and we were able to make one of my biggest dreams come true.
Wow.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, we weren't able to do more of that and spread it all over the world. But that is one of the biggest goals, to really be able to help people. However, and that's actually my initiative. It's called Do More. I don't know if I mentioned that
Yeah,
earlier.
that's incredible. Let's jump into that. You're very passionate about philanthropy
Yeah.
and charity work and yeah, donating your time as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about why that is so important to you?
I think these things were instilled in me by my mom. She's a very giving person, and she's always helping the needy. She's always, I don't know, I just feel like if you have a voice, or if you have the power, or if you have the money, or if you have anything, give it and help someone. I really believe in paying it forward. And it's not like right now, I'm really not at a point. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still struggling financially. It's day-to-day life. It's real. So I can't give all my money. I can't give money to every organization in the world, but I can give my time and I can give my love. And I think that's so important. So even with the kids, it's a lot of me giving my time, and Do More stemmed from that. It was like, okay, I'm not my gazillionaire self yet, but what can I do before I reach that goal is I can give a lot of me and give my heart to these kids, because they really need that. And Do More kind of came from it kind of was like, I knew a lot of people were following what I did. If Natasha did it, it's cool. So I started off by doing that. I worked with special needs kids. They were making bracelets, and it was kind of like I went there, and I wouldn't want to post all these things on social media, but I did, so that people would copy that and do more. Because a lot of people my age were doing it, oh, because she do it, I'll do it. But then you'd see if they really wanted to do more, they would, and they would continue. And that's kind of them paying it forward. So I wanted to inspire people to do a little bit of good for themselves and for people around them. That's really what it is. So it's not like, oh yes, we're an amazing company that gives loads of money to people all around the world yet. It's me giving my time. And that's what Do More is about.
That's wonderful. And do you still do, well, obviously not this year because of COVID, but you were
Mhm.
saying that you were in the US beforehand and you were going and
Yeah.
visiting women's shelters. Do you still
Yeah.
do you still do work with those sort of women's shelters as well?
So I've been wanting to. So this year was supposed to be the year of doing all of that, but I
Yeah.
wasn't able to. But I found another way of helping women, not so much in need, or businesses. So in COVID, a lot of people got hit with a lot of horrible things, right? Like
Mm.
financially, businesses. So I realized that I had another skill of maybe, starting a business, or learning how to mentor someone. And I realized I was doing it anyways. I started my own little, as part of Do More initiative, just kind of mentoring people and teaching them how to go about, whether it's how they charge people, how they start a business, how they have confidence in themselves for putting themselves forward on Instagram, because that's really hard sometimes.
Mm.
Not a lot of people believe in themselves, and they need that trust and guidance. There's, you know, a lot of small businesses in Hong Kong that I've started to help and give a lot of my time to, and a lot of my knowledge. And it might not be like, I'm not a banker, or, you know, I don't know anything about the finance world, but with my experiences as, you know, starting a business, manufacturing, I know every little detail of how to start a business.
Mm.
So if I'm able to do that, that's what I've been doing. And it's been
That's
really great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Hong Kong definitely is so full of it's got a very entrepreneurial spirit, I find.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely growing up there, it had that mindset, but it wasn't always the most practical application of it. It was much more, I don't know, how do I put this? It was kind of like, it was very entrepreneurial in spirit. However, if you were then trying to look at how to emulate that or how to practically apply it to whatever it is that your niche was, it was actually very difficult to find resources or to find people to speak to that didn't have their own agenda to push, for example.
exactly.
So I think that's really wonderful, what you're doing. In terms of people running their businesses, I mean, like, what challenges have you come across when you were launching your business? Are there any big challenges that you've kind of used
Just look
as?
at this. Just look at my face.
Okay, fair. That's very telling. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've kind of used as an example or as a learning for other people that you mentor?
So it's different for everyone because not everyone has a product, right? The one thing I think that's in common is that a lot of people don't trust themselves, and they listen to the outside noise of people saying, you can't do it, or why is she doing it? Or there's a lot of jealousy. The
Mm,
more you grow successful in life, I feel like the lesser and the smaller your circle gets, and
mm,
the lesser you can trust people. And that's not me being negative, that's me being real. But that being said, the most important thing is to really trust yourself, because there's going to be so much noise. There's always going to be people who don't have nice things to say about you and who might want to bring you down. But just to know that you are strong enough to pull through and do it yourself, and you don't need anyone really, and just trust yourself. That's really important. That's the number one thing I tell everyone. That's like common ground. A lot of people say, I don't want to post on Instagram, what will people think? I don't give a crap what people think anymore. I think I've had enough of what people think. The second thing I think with businesses, I think for me, the biggest drama I've had to deal with is logistics,
mm,
because all my products are made in Italy and Turkey, and you know, we have our warehouse in the US, and then we supply everywhere. So just dealing with the little things like, you know, this factory messing up, and this packaging coming out wrong, and losing 15,000 US on this packaging. It's just, there's so many ridiculous hidden costs that you're like, I started this baby on my own. Like, I saved every little dollar that I had to build this brand. And that's why I worked so hard traveling everywhere. That's why I charge what I charge. I really needed to create this business and believe in myself. And it was so hard. I remember the first time I emptied my bank account to finally pay for my products. I was like, oh my God, I just did that. I just emptied my full bank account of savings. And I was delayed by a year also with just personal situations, and you know, having to use my money elsewhere, and just there were so many things that I didn't realize. And I think it's so important for people to see and hear this, because they see me and they're like, oh, she's killing it, she's got this going, there's so many things that I'm this whole year. My
mm.
bridal stuff was my income. My Natasha Moor Cosmetics stuff is a brand building. You know, that's completely, I'm working for free to build my baby, to make it grow. And I think that if you really have a passion for it, you really should push through it. So there's so many different struggles that you'll see. And as your brand grows, you won't realize, or as you grow in the service that you're doing, there will be hidden costs and things that might come in your way. But the whole, I think the general idea is to really believe in yourself. I keep saying that, but that's really what it is. It's
Yeah,
hard.
it is hard. It really is hard. And I think that you're so right that it's so easy to sometimes let the noise from the outside kind of get into your head. And especially if you're prone to, and we all are, we're all prone to moments of self-doubt and questioning ourselves and disliking certain things about ourselves. We're all self-conscious about something ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think that you're so right. It is so important to be able to let that external stuff go and just believe in yourself. Yeah, definitely. In terms of for this year, though, yeah, I was going to say, obviously, COVID has taken a massive, massive hit to the bridal makeup or the makeup artistry side of your business. How's next year looking? Are you seeing like a massive wave of rescheduled weddings coming your way?
There is a lot of rescheduled weddings, but I'm actually, this year was supposed to be my last year working intensely as I was, because I was doing like 5 or 6, I was doing back-to-back countries. I'd be in Mexico one day, in Canada one day, in Bali one day, in I don't know, Thailand one day. And it was just no time zone. Like I was everywhere and I would only sleep on planes. So I was actually phasing that out to be able to focus on the brand. And now we're actually expanding the brand. So I'm not going to be doing as many brides, unfortunately, as much as I love it. Um, I'm not going to be allowed to do as many brides because I'm supposed to be focusing on the brand, and we're expanding and we have investors coming on board. So it's a different ball game now
That's
with
so
the
exciting,
brand.
though. That's so
It's a different
exciting.
stage. Yeah. I'm excited for it for sure.
So, in terms of global expansion, what are the markets that you're looking to expand into?
I think the Middle East and India are two really, really, we're already in the US, but
Mm.
we haven't even slightly tapped into what I want to see in the US. We've just sort of launched there. So I definitely want to pump in a lot of time and effort into the US, India, and the Middle East. Those are my three, I think, places that I think we'll see our brand. And the UK as well was in the pipeline a year ago, and we're doing all our registrations for the UK because it's completely another hidden cost. But just FYI, but it is definitely somewhere we would want to launch. So
Oh, that's super exciting. Well, you'll have to let me know when you're next in town so I can actually see you in
oh,
person because it's been so long.
I would love to. I would
So,
love to.
oh, well, listen, I mean, I'm conscious of time and I don't want to keep you for too much longer. So I only have two more questions for you. So the
Okay.
first one, again, you're only 30, but you've already had so much life experience, so much business experience. What advice would you give to your younger self if you could go back in time?
Stop hating on yourself. Is this, I feel like it's a general message. One of the main thing I would say is you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Just keep trusting your gut. And I wouldn't say to do anything differently, because every step, I wouldn't be like, oh, don't be in this relationship, or don't do this, or don't go down that path, because every step of the way kind of taught me to and brought me to where I am today.
Mm.
And I like the person that I am. It's not like in terms of success, but I like the heart that I know this, and this is the one thing I'm proud of, is that I know that I'm a good person. I like that. So I think it's shaped me in the right way. That's for sure.
God, that self-awareness is so important, isn't it? When you really
Yeah.
look at yourself and you're like, no, yeah, like I'm doing good. I can make a bad choice and I can make a bad decision. I can put a step wrong, but ultimately I know that my intention and my heart is always in the right
Yes.
place. And that's
Yeah.
so important. That's so, so
Yeah.
important. Yeah, wonderful
Yeah.
advice. I think that's so applicable to everything in life.
Yeah.
And then finally, so this one might be a little bit of a cheeky ask, actually, but I do ask
Mhm.
every guest this. What's your favorite lip color? And you can
Oh,
choose one of your own. You can choose one of your own. Actually,
I love it.
your lipstick so far has been top lipstick. I think it's been mentioned twice on by two
Oh
different
my
guests.
gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Storm.
You know what I would
Storm has
love
been
to do?
mentioned twice.
Oh my God. Storm?
Hmm.
Oh, I know who. Am I allowed
Yeah.
to say the name?
Yeah, the episodes have, well, by now the episodes have come out. So Nobaya was one, and then who do you think the other one
Oh,
is?
Jasmine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Storm would look so good on her. Oh, I can't believe I thought Nurbaya would do Empowered, but yay, that makes me so happy. Oh, I hope that our brand grows so big that I'm able to sponsor your lipstick gang and
That
every
would be
guest gets a
ace.
lipstick.
Oh,
Ooh.
let's work on that.
Yeah, let's work on that. I'll do that. That's going to be my next goal. Okay, this is so difficult because every week it changes. I think I love right now. I love on my okay, because of my hair color,
Hmm.
I like Hustler.
And
Yes, I
Hustler,
like Hustler.
what kind of shade is that?
It's like a brownie tone. It's like a brownie, yes, pinky brown tone. And there's another brownie tone that I really like. I used to love Bulletproof all the time, but it's too light now for my hair.
Mm.
So it kind of washes me out a little bit. But if I do a little bit of a darker brown tone, I really like that. So I used to love Bulletproof. Now I'm more towards Empowered Hustler. And there's one shade that I'm launching that I'm in love with, and it's called Freedom.
Ooh, love that. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about that, or is it a little bit of a secret at the moment?
I might get killed, but it's okay. The shades that I'm launching for next year is actually based on my experiences this year. So the names are all very, very much about, like, one of them is Survivor. One of them is from my year. And I think that I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. Just the names in itself. The people will wear it and feel like, wow,
I
this
love
is what
that.
I feel. Yeah.
I love
It's
what
different
you're
from the
doing.
powerful and the conqueror. It's
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah, no, I love that. It gives it a kind of calmness and kind of it's okay just to be still
Yeah.
kind of vibe, which I
Yeah.
really, really love. I absolutely love that, your lipstick names. And I think a lot of people who maybe are really, really into lipsticks do this anyway. But for me, I always look at like nail colors. I always look at what
Mhm.
the name is, and I'm always really
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's the coolest job to come up with like the
Yeah.
names of these colors or like a head.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Like fireman
Yeah.
or whatever it is. But I love that yours have such a positive affirmation associated to it, and gives
Thank
people
you.
that confidence, both practically and mentally, which I think is just such a wonderful gift that you give. Um,
Thank you.
but yeah, I mean that's it. Thank you so much for being a part of the Lipstick Gang. Well, the Lipstick
Thank
Gang
you.
in practice and the Lipstick Gang the podcast. You've been such a
Thank
wonderful
you.
guest, and I've been so looking forward
Thank
to
you.
speaking to you since I launched.
Me too. I've been waiting for it. I'm like, yeah, and it came at the perfect time. I got my lipstick
I
tattoo.
know, and it looks beautiful. It looks
Thank
gorgeous. She
you.
did such a
Thank you
great
so much.
job.
She really did. And it says the world is yours. So please remember that.
That's really wonderful. I
And I
think
wish you
that's
all the success and power. And I just think you're going to kill it. This podcast is going to go everywhere.
Oh, thank you so much. You're such a wonderful friend. Well, I love you
No, of
lots,
course.
and thank you so
I
much for
love you
your time.
too. Thank you.
Mwah.
Bye.